Hello, thank you very much for tuning in. This is Stuart. I am a record collector and I'm doing this live stream because there was something in the news yesterday. Somebody had died and left behind 30,000 records. Quite a significant collection, I think you'll agree. 30,000 records. Well, I haven't got that many. I've probably only at the moment got about, I don't know, maybe 1,500. But it's quality, not quantity, right? So yeah, the question I'm going to try and answer in this video is the unthinkable. What is going to happen to your record collection when you die? So this collection that sold, I believe in London, 30,000 records, a man had died, and I believe that he'd left them behind, and his wife, maybe with some help, managed to determine that there were a lot of valuable collectible records in that collection and got them to an appropriate auction house in London. I think it's the UK. I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, but it doesn't really matter whether it's the UK or overseas. So the principle is that, in my opinion, the records were correctly disposed of in an auction, and they did rather well. So there were 30,000 records. I think that the auctioneers forecast that it would fetch up to 100,000, and I think it went for more than that. I think it went for, I don't know, about 120 odd thousand. And it seems the way they did it is that obviously some experts went through and took out all of those records which were likely to yield a high amount of money, and these were auctioned off one at a time. I don't know what happened to all the non-collectibles, which would, let's face it, be maybe 90 or even 95% of the collection would be material that sells on eBay for £5 or less. So the most valuable records were auctioned, and they were, on the whole, achieving up to double the price that the auctioneers forecast. I think there was a lot of publicity for this collection. They did well in creating a lot of interest in it. So there were collectors there, no doubt. There were dealers. And obviously, if you get enough dealers and collectors into the same room with a highly sought after record, there's every possibility it will go for way in excess of what the market price is. I know, because I've been in that situation as a bidder, and I've ended up paying, more than I probably should have done for certain records. So yeah, I'd like to say that 30,000 records, it sounds impressive that it sold for 120,000. If you total up all the auctions, it sounds impressive that it went for 120,000. And you think, well, £4 a record, that's pretty good, really. And actually, it is good, because I've argued that if I was offered a collection of 5,000 records and there were some valuable collectibles in there, I probably wouldn't want to pay more than £1,000, probably because of all the work that's involved, unless it was really bristling with, early stereos and highly sought after monos like Martzis, Ida Handels, that kind of thing. And I saw that, yeah, this was really a big money collection. Then, of course, I would be prepared to pay more than £1,000 for 5,000 records, far more. But 30,000 records going for average £4 a record, that's quite impressive, I would say. But on the other hand, if you think about it, we've seen Leonid Kogan SAXs going for up to £5,000, haven't we? So, I mean, it's like, in a way, it's like, let me just get my mathematics correct. It's like 24 of those. It's like 24 Leonid Kogans for 120 grand. If you could get all the fanatical Far Eastern collectors who are prepared to pay big money for Kogan SAXs into one room with the best records, then it wouldn't surprise me if some of those Kogans went for £10,000. So yeah, some of the records that went for big money, they were like Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles and, rare editions, that kind of thing. if somebody's been collecting for 60 years, from the 50s all the way through the golden age of LPs, 30,000 records, you can be pretty sure there's going to be some good stuff in there. Yeah, so it doesn't really surprise me. Yeah, okay, so I think that collection was quite well disposed of. Probably the worst way that that woman, the widow that survived, could have sold them would have been to contact a dealer like me and say, my husband's died, I've got 30,000 records, are you interested in them? And then I would probably say something along the lines, well, I can come and have a look at them. And then I would probably say something like, most of us dealers are we've got so much stock, we haven't got room for them. And it's difficult to take large collections because there's only a small percentage of those which tend to be worth any money. So yeah, I'll be interested to look at them, but don't get your hopes up about the price. Or I might say, did you have any idea what price you've got in mind? And if she said something like, yeah, £50,000, then I would probably say, well, you better contact another dealer, because I'd be very surprised if I offer anything like that amount of money. So I would probably try and condition her. But I would think that most people of reasonable intelligence, if they felt any negative vibes coming from somebody like me saying, well, 30,000 records, yeah, I might be able to go to about £2,000 or £3,000 because I'll have to hire a van. I've got all my costs, etc. Most of them are not really worth anything. I would think that most widows would just go to another dealer until that dealer said the right things. But there's always the chance that somebody will say, yeah, I really just want them out of the way. Now that's what you want to hear as a dealer, and I've been in that position as a classical dealer in the 90s when there was just me and maybe a dozen other full-time classical dealers in the UK. And we each had our own areas. I mean, I covered Nottingham and Derbyshire. And, there were a couple of guys up at Liverpool. They covered that area. Jim Watson was in Scotland. I mean, we all had our own sort of patches. And I did get calls from, an old woman whose husband had died. Say, yeah, my husband's died. And she said, I got a couple of thousand records. I need to dispose of them. And, and then she might say, I really just want them out of the way. If you could give me something back for them. And I say, yeah, sure. Now that is exactly what you want to hear as a dealer, because then I would just go along, look through them. Fair's fair. If I would find records worth good money in that collection, I would try as much as possible to give what I thought was a fair price. So I wouldn't go in there hoping that I was going to get 100 grams worth of records and walk away with them for 100 quid. No, that's not the way I did things, because I've got a sense of fairness about me. I want to give people a fair reflection of what the market value is. But unfortunately, most people have got an overinflated estimation of the market value, and it's very difficult to do business with people selling record collections in these times. So yeah, this widow did the right thing. She went to an auction house, or she asked advice. She was advised to go to an auction house. Don't get a dealer in, because you'll just get a fraction of what these are worth, because there are some really big valuable collectibles here. So okay, if you're married and you want your wife doesn't listen to classical music, and you've got nobody in your family really that would be prepared to take these on, then maybe that's the right route to go down. You write in your will that in the event of your death, my record collection is to be appraised and auctioned, or you might trust somebody to sell it for you and sell all the high valuable collectibles on eBay. It's not an easy thing. It's not easy at all. It's not going to be easy disposing of your record collection, making provision for that. It's going to be difficult. Now, for myself, my son is a big classical music fan. He listens to classical music. He doesn't listen to any pop. He doesn't listen to jazz. He doesn't like any other music but classical music, right? I already know what I'm going to do with my collection. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it to him. I'm going to leave it to him with my record player. And if for some reason that's not possible, or he doesn't want them, then I'll have to think of something else, and I don't know at the moment what that is. But I'm banking on him taking them. The next best thing that I would do, if for some reason he doesn't want them, or let's say he doesn't survive me or something like that, then I suppose I would have to make provision for them to be sold somehow. And that one is quite a terrifying proposition because, I've got some good records, but probably not enough really top value records to warrant an auction house in London. So it would probably be wise to get a friend on board, so that if the worst happens to me, I can give the friend instructions on what to do with my collection. But as of now, it's going to my son because it's the obvious thing to do. He doesn't listen to records. He uses streaming services. He uses Spotify. But I think that with it being my collection, my record player, and him being into classical music, I think he would enjoy discovering vinyl through my collection. Yeah, so that's what I will do in terms of my will. I haven't yet made it. I need to make it, and I will be doing within the next 6 months or so. But obviously, hoping I live as long as possible. So yeah, I mean, just a quick tale on somebody that I know. I've told this story before, but there is something to be learned from it. So there was a dealer in the 90s who died at about my age, actually 60 years old, leaving behind a wife who was about 20 years younger than him and a child. And she called me up and she invited me to go and look at her, her late husband's stock of records. Yeah, he was a record dealer and he was selling overseas. He had a big client base. And I went down, and within 20 minutes of being there, it was clear to me that this collection had been completely picked. It had been stripped bare of anything that was like worth more than sort of £50 or more. There's just no way that this particular dealer would have had, no records worth more than £50. And I said, somebody's been here, haven't they? You must have sold some records because there are not really many high valuable collectibles. In fact, there aren't any. And she said, oh yes, there was a Korean who came, but he didn't buy many. Oh yeah, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I said to her, look, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be interested in the records because I was coming for the ones that really the Korean took, and maybe I would have given you more money as well. But I'm interested in these. Now, he had in a file, an old card index box system, all the names and addresses. Yeah, his mailing list was there. And I actually bought the mailing list off her, and she was happy with the price that I gave. So yeah, I was happy with the trip because I got that mailing list, something like 500 names and addresses. It was like gold. It was absolutely fabulous. So, okay, well, that's, that just shows you what happened to her, that she got stuck with a load of records she can't sell because she let somebody in who stripped them clean. And that's not really a clever thing to do. If you're a widow, you've lost somebody and you're trying to dispose of their collection, you want to get rid of the whole lot. So she should have made it a condition. If you take these, you'll have to take those as well. Yeah. Okay, well, that's my opinion. I look forward to your comments. So thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.